2021 is already behind us, but it is still far from being talked about. After talking about the best songs and albums by Male Seiyuu and 2D music projects released last year, it's time to cover the albums that I feel were completely overlooked. Yet, they are awesome and deserve all your love and attention. Let's kick off this episode of Seiyuu Lounge. Welcome to Seiyuu Lounge, I am your host Vanessa, and today's topic is 10 albums that went under the radar in 2021. As much as I love to talk about the most impressive and buzzworthy CDs released, I also love to talk about the hidden gems that very few people paid attention to in 2021. Most of the CDs I'll be talking about in this episode did not sell that well. Some did actually manage to sell reasonable amounts of copies, but there is little to no interest by international fans in them. What all these CDs have in common is high-quality music, unique or surprising performances by talented seiyuu that fully deserve your love. A note that this is a highly subjective episode featuring my picks for CDs that went under the radar in 2021. Perhaps you have a different opinion on some of the entries or believe other CDs were even more underrated than these. If that is the case, I invite you to hop in this episode's comment section on YouTube and share with everyone which CDs you'd add to this list. Also, when I mention albums, I'm also including digital and physical singles as well as mini albums. Without further ado, let's kick off this list episode covering the 10 albums by male seiyuu artists and 2D groups that went under the radar in 2021. Esmeralda with The Brilliance. This is quite possibly the most underrated entry in this list. Esmeralda is a rock band part of the Enlight Tribe franchise that has a dark, dramatic and heavy sound. Hard rock is their thing, but at times they do channel some Visual Kei vibes. This is currently one of my favorite 2D bands for how robust their sound is, or how fearless they are about making the band's sound feel aggressive and incredibly violent while, at the same time, incredibly gentle and delicate. And on vocals, Junta Terashima has been an absolute beast. He really nails those performances as if it is second nature for him. His vocal range is not as wide as other baritones, but hell if he can shine with his vibrato, hits and beats of falsetto, insane crescendos, and all the techniques you can think of. He is talented and versatile. Once again, he is underrated just like Esmeralda, yet still worthy of all the attention you can give him. Out of the 2 singles released in 2021, it was difficult for me to choose one. Both have awesome performances, are filled with shredding rock tunes, and the vocals are so emotional and powerful that you're left on the edge of your seat, goosebumps all over. Yet I had to pick one, so I did bring The Brilliance to this conversation. This is the most recent out of both entries, and it has an absolute banger in there. The Brilliance includes a set of dark, emotional and violent rock tunes. There is beauty in decadence, and both El Dorado and Radiance showcase that, making chills run down your spine as quickly as they make you headbang along. Radiance is simultaneously one of the best songs released by 2D groups in 2021 and the best rock song by a 2D rock band to grace us last year. This is the type of song that will get under your skin, having you screaming along to the lyrics. Feel those emotional vocals by Junta Terashima. This is a song that has Junta Terashima performing crescendos with legato and vibrato all at the same time. When the single wraps up, you'll instantly hit that replay button, and I honestly don't know why this band isn't popular or why no one talks about their outstanding music. If there is an underrated CD released in 2021, it is this one. Erosion with What Is Mine. If you're into rock music and like it to be aggressive yet always with a melodic twist and good vocals to complement it, Erosion is the band for you. The 5-vocal rock band stemming from the Carnelian Blood franchise has been on a steady journey of impressive CD releases, and What Is Mine, the band's first full-length album, neatly wraps everything up in the first season of CDs, bringing at least one new song into the mix. I say one song, but depending on the edition you purchase, there are different new songs alongside the new self-titled track, What Is Mine. Since I only got the regular edition, I can't really speak for the other new tracks, but as it is, know that the regular edition more than wraps things up neatly. The band fronted by Shuya Chiba, but also with the powerful vocals by Ryota Suzuki, Arthur Lounsbury, Toshiyuki Toyonaga and Yuya Hirose, was on a roll in 2020 and arrived in 2021 with their first album. Listeners coming across this album will find several shredding guitar tunes like Redhead, Get Out, and From a Spicy Peak. But there's also introspective moments from songs like Lighthouse or even Vigilante, and even an electronic rock tune in Shamming. The quality has only been increasing for Erosion, and this album more than perfectly illustrates it, going chronologically over the songs released in 2020. As it is, Erosion's What Is Mine is a fine showcase of a muscular rock sound by a band that, even with its occasional hiccups, has one hell of a lineup and is still one of the most exciting 2D and 3D outfits currently active in the music industry in Japan. Lolodi with Ideal. For a weird reason that I really can't pinpoint, Lolodi, easily one of the most technical and unique 2D groups currently active, is not popular. I'm talking about a group that has 3 of the most technical singers among seiyuu in its lineup. It has the best singer among male seiyuu in their lineup. Lolodi should sound good, and they do. Way too good. Toshiyuki Toyonaga, Daiki Yamashita and Shunsuke Takeuchi are a force to be reckoned with on the vocal end. They have Toyonaga's massive vocal range and versatility at their disposal, Yamashita's otherworldly control and technique, and Takeuchi's bassy vocals and unique R&B delivery. And with each release having Takeshi Hama as their composer, the group has been impressing with unique soundscapes almost taken out of a movie soundtrack and performances that will make chills run down your spine. All of that culminates in Ideal, Lolodi's best CD to date. The leading track, Final Direction, has the right amount of drama, longing and violence going on. It is a complex, layered song in which aggressive bass lines and bassy beats coexist with delicate chamber music. It has a build-up straight out of a James Bond movie. It's one of the most exciting and intricate songs I've heard, with a composition that, if you're a geek about it, you'll gasp at how complex and perfectly put together it is. And on vocals, the beauty of having a group with top-tier singing skills and good chemistry shines. And its tie-up track, Butterfly Knife, goes the picturesque route, taking the listener on a journey through a fantasy world as a banjo leads the way. This was as unexpected as the leading track for this CD. Lolodi do have their fair share of cinematic tunes, but nothing that would go the adventurous, picturesque route. Unfortunately, the CD sold poorly in Japan, which was shocking given the sheer quality in it. It's good to see that the reception by international fans was much warmer, but still I feel like this is an extremely underrated CD that deserved all your attention and more, because it is plenty of fun, but also really intricate. Akito Sakisaka with Down to Zero. Out of all songs released in 2021 by the Perfection Noise franchise, it was Akito Sakisaka's Down to Zero that impressed me the most. First off, Kaito Ishikawa is finally sounding good as a singer, even if a bit strained in some parts a result of unfamiliarity with his own singing tone, or even how to tackle certain parts that require a different technique. But he showed a lot of improvement that left me thoroughly interested in Down to Zero and actually on listening how can Ishikawa develop from here on. Like all songs in the Perfection Noise franchise, Down to Zero is not necessarily following a trendy sound and instead revisits sounds and melodies from the past. mixes those with a bit of hip-hop and rock, and what you get is one of the biggest surprises of the year. As a result, Down to Zero is a song with a strong attitude, quickly showcasing that in its hard-hitting trap instrumental, the edgy guitar parts, and the overall down tempo. And like all songs from Noise Nova, or even the solo tracks, it is extremely underrated yet of a high quality and with a refreshing sound that more than deserves your attention. Pionix with Haru Oshimu. Out of all 3 entries in the season's CD series released in 2021, Haru Oshimu was the one that impressed me the most. On this CD, fans can find the cinematic song Harukaze. Harukaze is a layered and rich song that builds up from a strong acoustic core into a beautiful, semi-acoustic pop-rock tune with one hell of an amazing chorus. There's a delicate, gentle vibe going on in the stripped-down verses, and the song manages to build up into a beautiful cinematic track. The fast piano notes in the chorus are like a flock of birds far in the sky, flying freely as flowers bloom. The soundscape emitting a beautiful pink, warm tonality, courtesy of Pionix's emotional harmonies. And those harmonies were delivered by the extremely underrated but highly technical Hinata Tadokoro, Yoshiki Nakajima, Tetsuya Sumiya, and Mizuki Chiba. Quartet that has insane chemistry, not to mention their vocals fit in perfect harmony. This is a fantastic display of quality not only on the vocal end, but also the outstanding imagination on the side of the composition of this song. Jin Ogasawara with Only One Thing. Electro rock and punk pop made their way to the spotlight with Jin Ogasawara's Only One Thing. The talented voice actor and singer made his solo debut in 2021 with this single, and I can safely say that it did leave a good impression. However, due to Ogasawara not being popular and the music label he joined being a minor one, none of the singles he released in 2021 gained that much attention. Although I've mentioned plenty of times how I feel like his solo debut was rushed, I also feel that among the rushed solo debuts in the last 2 years, he is, alongside Gakuto Kajiwara, one of the best singers, having a massive potential to grow further. So yeah, while still not that popular, you can't deny that Ogasawara not only has improved a lot as a singer since he joined the Argonavis from Bang Dream franchise in 2019, but also put in extra effort for his solo career, sounding even better than usual. And now, in a solo capacity, he is showing what he's made of. Only One Thing is a simple song at its core, but its nostalgic sound and Ogasawara's refreshing performance turned it into one of my favorite songs released last year. Anthos with Meat. Anthos kicked off 2021 by welcoming a new member to its lineup, and that means the insanely high and raspy vocals of Shun Horie. With the addition of a skilled tenor to the lineup, the group presented a different dynamic, now having more power available for the main vocals to unleash, serving as a good contrast to the powerful rap duo within the group, Daiki Hamano and Seiichiro Yamashita. I've got some reservations about the direction that Anthos' music has taken this year, slowly straying away from their trademark ethereal, dreamy sound. Tropical music was big in 2021 for this group, and Intense EDM also had its place among the 5 new songs released last year. While these aren't particularly new additions to their music, they've now taken the spotlight away from their original loungy sound. I don't know about you, but the group improved a lot on the vocal end, but their music took a couple of steps backward. Still, out of all releases in 2021, Anthos' Meat was the best one and certainly one I had on repeat for quite some time. It balances relatively well the group's new take on their sound, as well as it still retains elements of their trademark dreamy sound. It works well while showcasing a new dynamic on vocals that, from day one, is working as if Shun Horie had been a part of the group since their debut. For those fans of intense EDM or laid-back tropical house, Anthos' Meat is an interesting entry to check. one CD that went under the radar like all music in the Hanadol franchise, but fully worthy of your attention. Sir Vanity with Ajisai. Out of nowhere and after a 1-year hiatus, Sir Vanity, Seiyu rock band fronted by Yoshiki Nakajima and Yuichiro Umehara, announced their return to music activities. The band first released the Ajisai single with only Yoshiki Nakajima on vocals. This was surprising in itself, as most fans were expecting the band's comeback to be with a song featuring both vocals. Well, the song was released on Nakajima's birthday, so it has his special touch and feelings in it. And that's why I chose this song over Hero to talk about in this feature. In a way, Ajisai draws inspiration from Shido, something that I absolutely love about it. That contrast between robust rock sound and the refined melodies that a more traditional piano-focused sound has is something that suits the band well. That addition of beauty to an otherwise dark and grim song made the song shine in Sir Vanity's repertoire, and it is a big reason why I ended up choosing this song over the fast-paced Hero. In a surprising turn of events, this song only had Yoshiki Nakajima on vocals, delivering an emotional performance on top of this melancholic instrumental. Underrated song by an underrated band, and one of my favorites of 2021. Kagaribi with Display. A love confession in the form of a CD. That's unheard of when it comes to music released within 2D music projects. And yet, the member with the most aggressive rock sound in the Dear Vocalist franchise was the one that pulled off an album that, surprisingly, has a strong romantic vibe going on. This is unexpectedly wholesome, and one of the reasons why, out of all CDs released in the Raving Beats CD series in the Dear Vocalist franchise, this was the one that impressed me the most. The genuine growth that Judah goes through in this album is noticeable without even listening to the drama tracks that are a common storytelling device in this franchise. There's a rawness, a sense of his heart being bare and honest in the way he realizes he's infatuated with someone, then goes through misunderstandings with that person, even to the point of disappointing them. Then you have the turnaround as he finds himself alone with his thoughts and realizes he does depend more on the person he loves than what he thought and he wants, even sacrificing himself to mend his ways and be once more accepted by the person he loves. From the hard-hitting display and escalation to the romantic cassettes and the confessional songs My Bleach, I Can't Say Goodbye, Sho, and Sayai, Kagaribi's Display is an impressive CD with a strong focus on cohesive storytelling. Another reason I chose this CD over others, for example Momochi's Magen no Ai or A-Dash's Mirai, is also because out of all CDs this was the one with the most consistent tracklist. It is worth noting that the fans voted on which songs would make it into the album, minus 3 new songs that would be for sure on it. I'm really glad the album turned out like this. Well, I could have added Disappeared to the tracklist, but it was still an impressive tracklist that the fans ended up creating. So that consistency in the tracklist helped make Kagaribi's Display sound as romantic as it does. Then you have the music side. Ron continues to be one of my favorite composers, always crafting new, refreshing songs that are perfectly tailored to the stories that each character has going on, as well as what their bands are all about. From shredding tunes to romantic acoustic tracks and even electro rock, it does it all, and in this case, Judah's music shines because of it. And then you have Soma Saito, the final reason I picked this album out of all others. Taking into account all albums released in the Raving Beats CD series, he was the voice actor that showed the most growth as a performer. He started with a lack of confidence, but with each release, he embraced his role further, and by the time songs like Cassettes or my Bleach play, you'll notice how much Saito has embraced his role as Judah, as well as how much he's improved as a singer. So you get a double shot of growth with this album. A voice actor growing alongside the character he portrays. There's nothing more awesome than this. While there may be flashier CDs in the Raving Beats CD series, or perhaps stunning performances in other CDs, there were, and I do welcome you to check all CDs as they are now available on Spotify. Judah's, or Kagaribi's, display is the entry that impressed me the most. And while it was an album that had a good performance on the Oricon charts, it is extremely underrated among international fans. If you do have the time, enjoy good character development and intense rock music with smooth low vocals on top, this is a good CD for you to check. Gran Rodeo with Bokutachi no Gunzo. Wrapping up this feature is Gran Rodeo's stellar concept album Bokutachi no Gunzo. I've always noticed that Gran Rodeo songs featured in anime series are always massive hits and gain a lot of attention. However, when their music is not featured in anime and the band has entire freedom to create the music they want, pushing their creativity to new limits, not many people actually pays attention to them. And when Gran Rodeo released their best album to date, not many people paid attention to it, which baffles me. This is one of the best and most emotional albums I've had the pleasure to listen to in recent years. It starts really innocent, but the journey you go through following the story's protagonist across the various songs in this concept album will render you to tears. This is a simple concept album focused on the themes of youth, nostalgia, love and loss. And everything flowed incredibly fast with seamless transitions between songs not signaling when a new chapter was starting. Following a protagonist from their school days until their death is just brutal. The highs and lows, the lessons learned, the passions and fun along the way all hit like a truck when this album wraps up. And it is thanks to the genius of Kisho in charge of the lyrics and Izuka in charge of giving life to those with cinematic soundscapes that when I look back in 2021, I say that Bokutachi no Gunzo not only was one of the year's highlights, but also an album that personally resonated with me. A gem in the middle of Gran Rodeo's stellar repertoire, a mini album that deserves to be listened to from start to finish with no interruptions. These were the 10 albums by Seiyu artists, bands and 2D groups that I believe went under the radar in 2021. When I look back to all these albums, I can't help but to hope more people would love them. The quality performances by experienced singers or singers quickly evolving their skills, music composed by some of the best composers in Japan, or even the sheer variety or consistency you find here put all these CDs on the same, or at times higher level than what was considered buzzworthy or trendy in 2021. You have shredding rock, catchy pop, fancy loungy electronica, old school hip-hop, ballads, pretty much everything in here, yet due to weird reasons, some of these CDs didn't get that much of a reception. So yeah, I hope this episode gave you a taste of these 10 CDs and in a way has piqued your interest for any of those. After all, these 10 albums and artists, there's many more, deserve all the love they can get. If you're curious, I've left links in the description to each album, if available, and reviews in case you want to dive into those. Now tell me, which albums released by male Seiyu or 2D groups in 2021 do you feel like were underrated and why? Let me know in the comments, and remember, leave your comments as complex or as simple as they may be, and you can be featured on upcoming episodes of Seiyu Lounge. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss the Hand That Feeds HQ's weekly male Seiyu and music-related content, hit the subscribe button. I'll return next week with another episode of Say You Lounge. Thank you for listening and see you guys around.